So one client asked me to look at her a colleague, a potential collaboration or a potential client that she maybe wanted to do business with. So in order to get accurate information, you need to know whoever you're working with or speaking with, whether it be family members, colleagues, whoever, you need to know the date of birth. And so the question was, what's the viability of working with this particular lady? So first thing I did was take the date of birth of the client that she was thinking of working with. I already knew her date of birth because she'd already had a full blueprint reading. So what I'm looking for, especially when it comes to business, we'll just do business because this is the question that was asked for this particular video. And what I noticed was the lady who was asking me, who's already had a blueprint, now she has a lesson in life, which was to learn not to stress. So let's just put that one there as a lesson in life. So that one would make a sound constantly. So what's happening here with the lesson, learn not to stress, is a sound that's coming out constantly, going out as a frequency. So you've got a vibration, which is say like the energy here, and then the frequency is moving out. So what's going to happen is she's going to attract people to teach her that lesson. So I noticed that the lady that she was asking me about had the same lesson, which didn't surprise me. Now, so that was one thing. So potentially, both of these two people had lessons learn not to stress. So they were attracting each other based on that initially. But the other thing that happened was they both had the same soul vibration, which was quite a vocal soul, a controlling soul, quite demanding. So that's going to be vibrating. The other thing that was there was the way they did things, the rhythm. Now, the client potential had a victim sense of spirit. Victim sense of spirit is vibrating that they are going to be doing things, not all, but majority, if they've tuned into it from a childhood, of becoming a victim. So they're going to make life a little bit harder for themselves. So you've got to be careful and take that into consideration, that having of somebody who's got the way they do things will always attract some kind of victim scenario. The lesson in life is going to want to cause you to stress, but you've got demanding souls. But what she said was, the way it kind of was orchestrated was that she was introduced to her by somebody else. Now, the lady in question, the potential, was looking for somebody to help her, do something with her life. And she was thinking, who can I get to help me? She wanted to make some massive changes in her life. So first of all, she had the thought, which was coming from her soul, because it was very strong, it's a new beginnings, very projecty, very kind of, wanting to be in their own space and wanting something of their own. And so did the other lady, the client who was looking for, the main client here who's had the blueprint reading, she had that soul as well. So straight away, on an energy level, when energy is trying to find out vibrational matches, it's going to look at lesson. What can we teach this person when they come to have this collaboration, this connection, this synergy? How will they do things together? What's the soul like? You've got other players in the mix that don't always initially take that stance, first of all, for when it comes to a sound to connect and to attract. So what happened was, the lady who was the potential was looking for somebody she can do business with. She needed help. So vibrationally, these were the two things. So the lady who had the blueprint reading was approached by another lady saying, oh, I've got a friend who was looking for something and I think you may be able to help her. So you can see energy was now traveling through the air, if you want to, for want of a better word, through the atmosphere, through the field, through the cosmos, through the connection, through the magnetic field. It was traveling through to find who did the one that had what the one didn't have. Who can we find that knows her to connect these two together? And a mutual friend between the two of them came in and introduced the two women. But the one who had the one who had the blueprint and had the kind of tools, let's say, that the one without the blueprint wanted, had an intuitive feeling that she may not really want to work with her, but wasn't quite sure. So asked me to see what I thought. So I can't say, oh, you both got lesson in life not to stress. She's got a victim sense of spirit. You've got the same soul. Don't work with her. That's not what is going on here. The purpose is, let's show you what could be a potential obstacle. And therefore, wherever is a potential obstacle, you now have a more of an informed decision as to how you go about working with the lady or not. And then you've got your own intuitive instincts as to whether your gut is saying I shouldn't or your gut is saying that I should. So what you need to look at is when somebody is introduced to you via somebody else, initially, if you're tuned in and you've done the work or you're doing the work on yourself, you can start to listen to that intuition, that gut feeling. But the gut's not always accurate and does cause doubt, especially if you've got a lesson in life not to stress. You could have had a bad day, or things could be stressing you out. So you're going to call in somebody just to help you out with an opinion. Now, there's someone who's going to come in to help you out with an opinion needs to really know exactly why, what could potentially be. And I, from my experience, has never met anybody who can give you the accuracy unless you know what that individual's vibrations are, the lesson, the rhythm, and the soul initially. And the rest of the things can come into play. Once you know those may be okay, then we start to look at the other 6 vibrations to see how that synergy could work. Because what would happen here with the 2 lessons in life to not to stress could then, when they come together, turn into another vibration because of the calculation, because we're working with vibrations of numbers here, and change that dynamic to learn to value each other, which could potentially, if they didn't, create the stress when they become separated again. And the way they do things, one of them had an isolated rhythm and the other one had a victim rhythm. So if the one that really had the isolated rhythm wasn't really paying too much attention to this one, and she wanted more attention because the soul was attracting it, because the soul is demanding and wants all that attention, if I'm not getting the attention, I'm going to stress. If I'm going to stress, I'm going to get my victim sense of spirit's going to come out. So you've got to look at the situation and how all these sounds from this inner vibration that you have based on your date of birth, which you don't really know unless you've had a blueprint, and you still really don't know how it's going to work. What's that sound that is going out? What experiences as each individual have had that could potentially escalate to a positive or escalate to a negative experience? But once you know, you have a much better informed choice to be able to go, actually, my gut was saying, and you'll know what your gut's saying, whether it felt great or whether it didn't. And then now you've got more information, and then you can go, okay, on this occasion, no, or on this occasion, yes.